You built your product, you launched your business, you saw success, money in the bank, a growing team, happy clients, but now you feel like you're drowning. I'm here to help you get your head above water. I'm Lauren Goldstein. My clients call me the Business Doctor. Together, we'll diagnose the root cause of your business worries, whether it's your people, your process, or your product. We'll clarify your business needs so you can scale without the burnout. And then we will simplify it all so your business can do what it's designed to do, make a profit and an impact. Welcome to the Biz Doctor podcast. Hello, welcome back to the show. Erin is still with me because we were on a fabulous tear about revenue and profitability, and I'm excited to keep diving in.
Well, okay, every business owner likes money, right? Like if you're not making money, you don't have a business. So can we just say right now that we're going to devote all of this episode to talking about the various aspects of revenue and how we misunderstand it?
Yes.
I liked that breathy yes. Yes. We don't understand revenue. We like money, but we don't understand revenue. Okay. So here's the analogy. Cause you and I are in the world where we function and have colleagues who are in these 7-figure, 8-figure businesses. And there's a lot of claims that we see online. I have a multi-million-dollar business, but the question we should be asking, and tell me if I'm wrong, is, but how much are you spending to make that?
Yes. That is one of my favorite, call me a little bit skeptical, but when I see I had a 7-figure launch or, whatever that is, I'm like, okay, great. But what was the actual amount that, you kept? What was that might've been your gross. What was your net? Cause there's this really awesome equation that I use with clients called, it's not called, but essentially it's wealth equals value times leverage. And I talked about leverage in our last episode. So what value is that directly translates to trust. And so when people trust you, they give you their money, which is how you get the outcome of revenue. When you are creating flow, that's from leverage, and that direct outcome is profit. And so I said before, revenue is a lagging metric because sometimes that revenue is coming in after the fact. And if you're just judging the health of your business on the revenue that's coming in and missing, the operational components of profitability and cash flow, et cetera. And I think actually I might say this wrong, but I think they say revenue is like ego, profit is fact, and cash is king, or it's something along those lines. Because yes, we want to make money. Yes, we want to make an impact. But it's, to me, what I'm so much more passionate about is how much are you keeping at the end of the day? Because if you're just like if you think about in life, if you're working at, a job and you're just making ends meet, and you're doing that in your business, then, if, something happens outside of your control, supply chain, a recession, anything like that, I think it's Warren Buffett. He says, when the tide goes out, you'll see who's swimming naked. Like a lot of businesses could have survived the past 2 years had they not been swimming naked. And the swimming naked is they didn't have the cash flow and profitability that they needed to have a really healthy, sustainable business.
Wow. So here's what I'm hearing you say is that we actually all need to just get really comfortable. And when I say we all, business owners, get really comfortable with being maybe a little bit uncomfortable in this mucky, murky period where we're coming to you and saying, listen, I know I haven't been doing a good job. I know I haven't been honest with myself and my numbers. Like, talk about being naked. Like a little bit, this process must feel like uncomfortable for business owners to start, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I joke that yes, I'm the business doctor because I'm diagnosing, but I'm also a little bit like therapist where,
Right.
They're like, I've spent all this money and I've done all these things and it's still not working. That's like coming to the health coach and saying, I've tried all these diets and I've changed my food and it's still not working. And like, that's where we have to get really crystal clear on like what your goals are, what your numbers are. And that goes back to autopilot. Like if you don't know the destination, because I see this take down a lot of businesses where the business owner has a kind of idea where they want to go, but they're like, well, I would just want to kind of make this much money or make this much impact, but it's not clear to them and it's not clear to the team, because that's really huge. If you don't have that clarity of vision for the team, so they're bought in, then they're not looking for ways to operationally improve because they don't see the value of where they're going. And so a lot of the work that I do is clarifying that destination and understanding how all the different components of operations and team play into getting you closer to that destination.
When you talk about clarity, let's dig into that a little bit more. When you say if you don't know, what do you mean when you say if you don't know where you want to go? Do you mean that we just need to say like, I would like to make $10 million next year, or I would like to make $10 million and I want it to look like this? Like, how much clarity do we need in order to really do a good job at refining our operations?
Love this question. So my favorite question to ask my clients, because we get, like, let's be honest, business owners are smart. And we started this because we saw a problem that we wanted to solve. And we were like, we are the one to do it.
Mm-hmm.
However, we are also our worst enemies because we overthink, we get in our heads. And so the best question I like to ask my clients is, if you could have it all your way, what would your business look like? Because it's great if you want to make $10 million, but if you forget to tell me that you want to have 3 vacations a year and maybe see your kids grow up, then we have a problem. So again, like back to like the holistic view of business, that's something that makes me very different is, yes, I'm not a marketing and salesperson, but I look at all components to make sure that the goal that you just told me that you're aiming for, the business can support it and your expectations can support it. Because one of my very, very favorite quotes is, unshared expectations are nothing more than premeditated resentments. And if your business is not set up in a way, operationally speaking or team speaking, that you start to resent it because you are now a prisoner to it,
mm-hmm.
that's when business owners burn down businesses.
And that's when, to bring it back to what you said, which I think is such it's a beautiful thought, that the revenue in your business is a reflection of the trust the market has in your offer. So when you are putting something out there that has this tinge of resentment to it, the market's going to respond to that too, right? So that's going to just continually compound in terms of the negative effect on the balance sheet.
100%. And it's also, when you're in the 7-figure plus space,
mm-hmm.
it's kind of boring. I'm not going to sugarcoat that, because like you've got your product, you've got like a lot of things, and now it's just about consistency. So it's not sexy. And I think that probably is why people don't love operations, because it's not sexy. But like,
hold on a second, you love operations. You love it.
I love operations. I love it. I love it. Other business owners don't love it because they're like, it's not sexy.
It is sexy though. It's sexy because it's going to make us money, right? It's going to make us feel better about things.
Yes.
Right?
It is. It is. I love it. And it's just, I think what the sexy point is, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Like building your business and getting it to like the first point is a marathon plus a sprint. It's like a triathlon. But then once you're at that 7-figure and like really saying, how can we make this even better? How can we make this more profitable? How can we have a bigger impact? That's when it becomes about consistency and like dialing up those things. Because I like to say that the leap from a mediocre business to a good business is huge. The leap from a good business to a great business is also huge. But the space that I operate in is the 2 millimeters between great and extraordinary. And like that 2 millimeters, like when I come in, I'm not telling you to like redo everything or like shake up the whole business most often. I mean, sometimes there's a little bit of shaking, but most often it's those 2, 3, 4 things, knobs, tweaks we can make that are going to increase that flow, increase that trust in the team, trust in operations that's happening behind the scenes so that you can have a more sustainable business and just keep turning up that spigot, and the hose that you've built will continue being able to accept that flow.
I wonder too now, like we're talking about it being a biz doctor, is that you take businesses from diagnosing the illness or the disease that they're suffering from. Where are the leaks? We're going to find them and then identify them and work with them. But then there must be a point in time, like what you just referred to, where you start to build back the health. You go from being in a state of unhealthy to now let's make ourselves healthy through, endurance and strength. Because, the analogy of a marathon, it is an endurance. It's like, how do I go from doing a 5K to a 10K to a 15K and not cross the finish line feeling like I'm going to collapse, right?
Right. Yes. And I think, I think hit me with something that I see so many business owners like running after metrics that don't necessarily make sense. Like I was on a call the other day and the business owner said, I want to hire 20 people in the next 90 days, and their team's 10 right now. And so my first question was, why? Because like, sure, that sounds like a great number, but you're essentially tripling your team in a very short amount of time. I think almost one of the biggest benefits to having me come in is because I'm going to ask you the tough questions about why you're doing the things you're doing, because I love hiring and having a great team is one of the number one ways you can create leverage outside of operational technologies and things like that. But if you're doing it just to do it, it doesn't make sense because it puts a huge strain on operations, on revenue, on profitability, on time. And it can create, like, if you have a business that's in homeostasis right now, that's, gradually growing, and then you shock it with like all these new people, like that could potentially unsettle the business to where it actually goes backwards instead of forwards. So a lot of the work that I do and why I'm so passionate about this is how can you grow the business without unsettling it and making it go backwards, but doing it very intentionally, knowing those metrics that you're looking for that say, oh yes, now is the time to add this or that, so that the step cost doesn't take you down.
Is it almost, would you say, like a matter of measuring the risk versus the reward? Like, is it that simple? Is it taking a calculated risk when you're hiring somebody, or is there something else that I'm missing?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think also it's really understanding why you're doing something. Like, how is it? Because if you're hiring just to hire, or you're adding technology just to add technology because you heard it was great, then what you're doing is you're collecting things and actually creating more complexity, where the truth is, as you scale your business, it should get more simple. So if you find yourself adding more things, or it's hard for me to articulate it, but if you're adding more technologies or more processes, or more like not necessarily processes, like SOPs are very important, but like things that are creating friction as you grow, then that's a sign that you're not growing sustainably.
Right.
So you want to ask yourself, why are we adding that? How is it getting us closer to our goal? And then again, and as a plane on autopilot, you want to always check in and say, does this process, does this technology, does this team member, except team structure, still serve us at this point? And get simple and simple and simple as you go.
Right. So maybe what I should have said is it a matter of not risk versus reward, but really understanding what is the reward you're after, right? If it's fast leverage or more revenue or higher profit or better scaling, like before hiring, you really need to understand that metric. To your point about clarity, you got to be clear on what you want. You
got to be clear. Yeah. Yeah. It's not enough just to Like, I think that's the thing is what I really work on with my clients is how can you build a proactive business instead of a reactive business? Because if you've just been measuring it by revenue and that's how you're making your decisions, then there is a high likelihood that at some point something's going to happen where you're going to potentially be in a tight spot and you're like, I don't know how this happened. But in reality, if you had been measuring the metrics of operations and flow and profitability, you would have seen it coming and known that that was not the time to maybe make that decision. And if you'd only waited a few more weeks or gotten more clear about what this thing was solving, then it would have made all the difference. Not to say you can't come out of it, but it's just about being proactive instead of reactive.
Time for a checkup. The doctor will see you now.
The business doctor is in the house to examine the elements of your business and make sure they're all functioning properly.
Give it to me straight, doctor. I can take it.
Let's take 60 seconds to diagnose the who, what, when, and how to tune up your business operations. Who's that?
Who goes there?
Yes. One of the key elements of your business is the who, as in who is in your network, who is on your team, and who are your leadership people. The who of your business is where you make sure things like internal communications and marketing are doing their jobs. Are you resonating with the right people? Are you reaching the right clients? Are you sharing and listening effectively with your team, stakeholders, and clients? When your who is working properly, you are effectively communicating your big company vision to the world and your team. And when you do that, your business will thrive with ease and flow. Checkup complete. Thanks for listening to the Biz Doctor podcast. You're probably wondering what your next steps are. So here are some options for you. No matter what, head to the show notes or to my website at goldenkeypartnership.com. That's where you'll find links to do a diagnostic deep dive with me and my team. This deep dive will help us identify what is really holding you and your business back from more profitability, impact, and sustainable growth. After that, register for our next workshop. I host them often, and it's a great way to interact with me in a virtual room and get your questions answered. All of that info is on our website at goldenkeypartnership.com. Finally, if you love the Biz Doctor podcast, I'd be grateful if you share it with your friends and colleagues on social media or give us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast.